After the visit from Bill, I went home to try and find out some information about my family's experience in the Great War. I found out that my great-grandfather, James Eads Bucknell, served in the war. He enlisted in June 1915 and was sent overseas in 1916. He joined the Sherwood Rangers, which was a cavalry regiment. Fortunately, he survived the war and made it home safely.
Good morning, Lancaster Lane. Today we are going to have an assembly about the importance of Remembrance Day. We'll be talking about everything we did in class. Here is a quick run through of some of the things that you can look forward to today. You can look forward to singing songs, learning facts about the Battle of the Somme, talking about how important World stairs, and finally the importance of parties.
In history this term we have learnt a lot about World War I. We started by looking at how the war began, created a timeline of events, found out about the alliances involved, and looked at the role of women in the war. We also studied propaganda posters and got the real feel for how life might have been at this time. Here are some of my classmates to give you all some more detail.
The First World War began when Franz Ferdinand was killed by Gavrilo Princip. And because Gavrilo Princip was from Serbia and Franz Ferdinand was from Austria, and Gavrilo Princip killed Franz Ferdinand, the Archduke of Austria-Hungary. And because Franz Ferdinand was from Austria-Hungary and Gavrilo Princip was from Serbia, they had a war against each other. It's weird to think that a war began because one person died. Anyway, once Serbia's friends realised that they was having a war, Serbia's friends joined in, and then Austria-Hungary's friends found out that there was having a war, and they joined in, and it all just became chaos.
There were two alliances, Triple Alliance and Triple Entente. Triple Alliance was created in 1882. The members were Germany, Austria-Hungary and Italy. The Triple Entente was created in 1907. The members were Russia, Great Britain and France.
We've also been learning about the role of women. It is not just important to remember the soldiers that died, but the women that had to do the men's jobs. The women that had to do these jobs are the men at war. These are examples of what women had to do. They were firefighters, engineers, farmers, nurses. They also had to organise and play football. They had most importantly take care of their children. They were very important during the World War and they still are till this day.
So far this year, our writing focus has been about the Christmas truce. We have all written diary entries from the point of view of a British soldier, and I would like to share my writing with you. Dear Diary, the chaos of war has made me exhausted. Snow fluttered around the trench like a choreographed ballet. The sky was dark and my hands were fairly wide. The twinkling of the stars were enchanting. They flickered away in the inky blue sky. As intricate patterns of snowflakes floated weightlessly down into the trench, I looked around. Pale faces stared back at me. My teeth clattered as the wind bit into every part of me. My gloved fingers were turning blue as a delicate little flake perched on my nose. I saw the mailman with some letters. Would he have one for me, I hoped? He did. It was from my darling wife, Rose. My heart shattered, my face too numb to cry. As memories spiraled around my head, I opened the rest of the package. A chocolate bar and a picture of her. I thought to save my chocolate for tomorrow. Suddenly, I heard something, a murmur coming from the German trenches. Suddenly, I could tell what it was. We sang it back at home. Silent night. Where once there was a deep silence, occasionally shattered by the cannon fire that shook us to the bone, now the crisp night breeze brought an echo across no man's land. The men in our trench recognised the tune and began to sing along. Our voices merged with those of the German trench, and a powerful yet sombre song rolled across the trenches, and like nothing we've felt before. It felt like it was over before we had even started. I decided to go to sleep. Let's hope tomorrow is less eventful. Jim. Dear Diary, today is Christmas Day. When I woke up, I saw a robin perched on some barbed wire which was protecting our trench. Its red plumage reminded me of what was to come, another day at war. No Man's Land was like a new canvas, completely clear of footprints. The snow was like powdered sugar sprinkled on a cake. It hugged the walls of the trench like a newborn baby hugs its mother. My teeth clattered like castanets as I was making a huge decision. I made up my mind. I was going over the top. My throat was dry, my tongue thick and heavy in my mouth. The song from the previous night rung in my head.
On the 2nd of May 1915, during the Second Battle of Ypres, Lieutenant Alexis Helmut was killed by a German artillery shell. He was a good friend of the Canadian military doctor, Major John McCrae.
It is believed that John began Joffrey's famous poem in Flanders Field that evening.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row one road that mark our place, and in the sky, lost, still bravely singing, fly scars heard aim the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunsets glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders field. Take what the choir will fill, to you the falling hands who throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with those who die, we shall not sleep, but poppies grow in Flanders field.
On the 1st of July 1916, the main battle of World War I started, called the Battle of the Somme. The Battle of the Somme nearly lasted 5 months. There was over 1 million casualties. The old British Army earned a lot of valuable experience because of this. It was the old British Volunteer Army that was in this battle.
On November 1918, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, all the guns fell silent and won't fire. Germany dominated off manpower supplies and faced with imminent invasion and signed an armistice with Allies. The First World War left 9 million or more soldiers' lives. In addition, at least 5 million from starvation, disease or exposure.
On the 28th of June, the Treaty of Versailles signed by Germany, which ends the World War. Also, they did it to make peace. The action was very unpopular in Germany, and it was the most important one.
Today is so important because men sacrificed their lives for their country. But it isn't just men who almost died. It was women as well. They made bombs and poisonous weapons, sacrificing their lives.
So we need to remember that men and women sacrificed their lives for us and their country.
So that is why it is called Remembrance Day. The poet Wilfred Owen wrote poems about life lost in war instead of the glory. One of his poems is called Anthem for Doomed Youth, which George is going to read out to you. It was made in 1917 while Wilfred was recovering from injuries and trauma in the hospital. He died on November 8, 1918 in an attempt to breach the Somme Canal. He died from a German machine gun. Now listen to the poem Anthem for Doomed Youth.
Yep. What passing bells for these who die as cattle, only the monstrous anger of the guns, only the stuttering rifle's rapid rattle can patter out their hasty orisons. No mockeries now for them, no prayers nor bells, nor any voice of mourning save the choirs, the shrill demented choirs of wailing shells, and bugles calling for them from sad shires. What candles may be held to speed them all, not in the hands of boys but in their eyes, shall shine the holy glimmers of goodbyes. The pallor of girls' brows shall be their pall, their flowers the tenderness of patient minds, and each slow dusk a drawing down of blinds.
This is why we do our 2-minute silence every year.
Countries all around the world take part.
November the 7th, 1917, Lenin and the Bolsheviks take over Russia. Crazily, the Allies, Britain, France and Belgium, win the time-taking Battle of the Manik. 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, as the Treaty of the Versailles is signed.
Services on Remembrance Day and Remembrance Sunday. A 2-minute silence is held to remember the soldiers who fought in the war for us. A 2-minute silence is held on the November 11th at 11 a.m. each year as a passing on the 11th month on the 11th day. The day itself is known as Armistice Day or Remembrance Day, which falls on the second Sunday on November 11th.
So now you know what the 2-minute silence is. Let's take 2 minutes to bow our heads and respect the soldiers who fought in the war for us. We've been doing some art while learning about the First World War. All of Year 6 have been painting some beautiful watercolour hobbies for Remembrance Day. We also have been learning about lots of different watercolour artists, and this is my painting.